The movie starts with a girl named Hina staring out the window. She is at the hospital with her mother, who appears to be in critical condition. A voice tells the story of a girl with weather control and a day that transformed everyone's life. He states a secret that only he and Hina are aware of. As Hina looks out the window, she discovers a heavenly brilliant light filtering through the wet sky. She becomes intrigued and walks out to explore. The light transports her to the top of a building, where she notices a shrine. She begins to pray for her mother, and when she enters the shrine, the rain abruptly freezes in the air. The world alters as she flies up into the sky. Clouds and aquatic monsters surround her. It implies that she is obtaining magical abilities that will allow her to manipulate the weather. On the other side of Tokyo, a 16-year-old kid named Hodaka has ran away from home and is pursuing his ambition of living in Tokyo. He is aboard a boat when the weather begins to shift dramatically. Everyone else rushes inside the ship, but he enjoys the rain. A massive liquid circle develops above him, storming the spacecraft, which tilts and nearly kills Hodaka. He is rescued by a Tokyo resident named Kisuk. Hodaka buys him a supper as a thank you for saving his life, and Kisuk hands him his business card and tells him to contact him if he needs anything. When Hodaka arrives in Tokyo, he is seen roaming across the city and admiring the large metropolis. He takes a room in a hostel and searches for work online. Because he is just 16, everyone rejects him, claiming that he is under the legal working age. He applies for jobs at several locations, but is always turned down. He seeks cover from the storm one night, and a bully appears with his females. He punches Hodaka away and accidentally flips the rubbish. He discovers a sack containing a pistol. He keeps the pistol and heads to McDonald's for lunch. He falls asleep since he has nothing else to do. Hina then appears and offers him a complimentary burger. She works there and feels terrible for him since he appears to be lost. The boy then goes to see Kisuk, and because he handed him his business card, he easily locates his location. There he meets Natsumi, a pretty girl who hangs out with Kisuk and helps him with his job. Hodaka speaks with her before Kisuk comes. He publishes publications about inexplicable mysteries and requires assistance with his company. He offers Hodaka a job, which he accepts because he is unemployed. Kisuk tells him about an urban legend about a female who brings beautiful weather with her and is known as the Sunshine Girl. Hodaka's task is to do research on the girl and create an article on her. Hodaka is walking across Tokyo one day when he comes into the same girl from McDonald's. She's with some odd folks who tell her she might make rich money working at their strip club. Hodaka pities her and follows them to a club. He snatches Hina and flees with her before they can enter. One of the men grabs him and pushes him to the ground. Hodaka, fearful for his safety, pulls out the revolver and fires one round. Fearing for their lives, the guys let them go. Hina then takes Hodaka to a private location, but she is upset with him. She describes how she lost her job and how she and the guys had an arrangement, but he wrecked everything. Then they discuss about the incessant rain that has fallen for the previous 2 months, and Hina tells him she wants to show him something. She brings him to a rooftop and does a small trick. She demonstrates her ability to manipulate the weather and discloses to him that she is the Sunshine Girl. At the moment, Tokyo is completely flooded and the rain never stops. Some lads are seen in an alleyway, staring at a massive watery mass that bursts and floods the area. Hodaka returns to Hina later. He needs additional information about the female since he is required to create that article in order to earn his wage at her workplace. They eat together and create a business idea since they both need money. They create a website and advertise their weathering services, which essentially means Hina will appear at a particular place and clear the weather. The next day they leave on their first weathering assignment. A local market seller requested pleasant weather, so they arrived, and Hina did her thing. Nothing occurs at first, but suddenly she cracks the clouds and delivers the sun. The shopkeeper expresses gratitude and offers her some more cash. Soon after, Hina begins assisting many others in the community. Anybody in need of good weather may now call her and acquire what they desire for a modest fee. Even city authorities request that Hina clear the weather for a day so that they can have their yearly municipal celebration. She gets renowned, but the weather weakens her, so she says she'll do it one more time and then she'll be done. Meanwhile, Hisuk and Natsumi continue their investigation, and they are shown on their way to see an elderly guy who claims to know a lot about the Sunshine Girl at his house. He shows them a painting of a sky monster on the ceiling. He argues that the sky is much more mysterious than the sea. He claims it conceals numerous legends. He claims that the Weather Maiden will appear on Earth and that he or she will be able to communicate with the weather. They'll be linked and the Weather Maiden will be able to manipulate the weather. He goes on to explain how the weather is created and how the Ambian has the power to halt the never-ending rain, but she must give herself to do so. According to Kisuk, the sunny girl must be the maid in this old man's story. In Tokyo, the bully from earlier is fleeing from police officers. They pursued him and confronted him about the photograph in which Hodaka is shown shooting his rifle. It turns out that his parents reported him missing, and police are now hunting for him. Hina's final task in the park is the next day. She meets Kaisuk, who has requested her assistance in order to spend more time with his daughter. She suffers from asthma, and her grandmother only permits her to go outside when it is sunny. Later that day, Hodaka and Hina are heading to her house when something unexpected happens. Her torso is seen floating in the air before revealing some translucent areas. Her body seemed to have had enough. If she continues to weather, she may vanish, as the folklore suggests. Back at her apartment, as she is chatting with Hodaka, police officers knock on her door. They question about Hodaka, but she denies knowing him. They threaten to take her little brother away if she lies, because she is not her legal guardian. Keisuke then picks up Hodaka and drives him home, telling him how the police had come to his house. They threatened to arrest him because they suspected Hodaka was staying at his house. According to them, Kisuk abducted Hodaka and is keeping him hidden from them. He informs Hodaka that their relationship is done and that the situation has just gotten too unsafe for everyone. Later, Hodaka returns to Hina's house, where she sobs for losing her brother. Hodaka argues it will never happen and suggests that they all flee together. They are then shown walking the streets of Tokyo looking for a place to stay. They are denied everywhere they go because they are minors. As they go, it is clear that the weather has turned fairly severe. Even though it is August, the rain falls like never before, and it ultimately begins to snow. The group is stopped by police officials who ask for their identification. Hodaka begins to flee, but the cops apprehend him. Hina then grows infuriated and summons a massive lightning bolt that smashes a neighboring vehicle. It serves as a distraction, and they flee that evening. They rent a hotel room and spend some time together. Hodaka is passionately in love with Hina and cannot disguise it any longer. He expresses how delighted he is and how he wishes these times could stay forever. Later, he speaks with Hina and offers her a gift for her birthday. She pretends to be 18, but she is 16, exactly like him. He responds yes when she asks him whether he wants the rain to stop. She says that it is feasible, but that she will then vanish. She goes on to tell how she gained her talents. When her mother was dying a year ago, she yearned for one final stroll beneath the sun with her, and the sky summoned her and bestowed upon her these superhuman abilities. When her mother was dying a year ago, she yearned for one final stroll beneath the sun with her, and the sky summoned her and bestowed upon her these superhuman abilities. She claims that fixing the weather removes a piece of her flesh and shows Hodaka that her body has already become extremely translucent. The two soon fall asleep. In his nightmare, Hodaka finds Hina sitting in the field. When Hodaka wakes up and she abruptly vanishes, he discovers she has left. He then asks her brother if he has seen her, and the child informs him that he too has had a bad nightmare about Hina and is concerned. Suddenly, the police then breaks through the door and arrests Hodaka for escaping from his home and for the possession of a firearm. As they leave the hotel, it is evident how the weather has cleared, and it is sunny outside, but Hina is gone as promised. In the police car, the police asked Hodaka about the girl, and he states how she sacrificed herself for the clear skies. The police inspector thinks he is crazy and gives him a weird look. In a police station, the boy is taken for interrogation. Inspector assures him that he will receive all the information he seeks. When the cops are preoccupied for a second, Hodaka takes advantage of the chance and flees. He dashes through the station, avoiding everyone who attempts to stop him. A female on a scooter appears outside as he flees from the cops. It's Natsumi, and Hina's little brother, who is now in daycare custody, has frightened her about the situation. Hina's brother is receiving visits to check how he is coping with his sister's death, but there is a police officer around. Because the child is also a fugitive, one of his buddies tricks the police officer into abandoning her post, which Hina's brother interprets as an opportunity to flee. The police officer questions Kisuk about Hodaka and their connection at his home. He behaves as though he knows nothing and is surprised to learn that the youngster eluded the cops. He decides to look for him. Meanwhile, Hodaka is on a scooter with Natsume, and they successfully avoid the police. Hodaka tried to reach the building where the shrine is because it was the place where Hina gained her powers. He runs towards the building thinking only about what he can do to save Hina. He goes through the building and stumbles upon Kisuke. He wants to stop him, telling him this is crazy and that he has already gone too far. He even slaps the boy to get his attention, but Hodaka then finds the gun he previously left and shoots a warning shot towards Kisuke. The police officers then arrive and point their weapons at Hodaka since he has nowhere to go. They approached him to cuff him, but then Kisuke changes his mind and attacks the police to help the boy escape. Hodaka eventually reaches the roof and then enters the sky world. He goes to a place he never imagined that even existed. As he falls through the sky, he observes huge clouds and weird creatures. He even gets swallowed by a creature called the skyfish, but it does not hurt him. He keeps falling and repeats to himself how he must save Hina. Hodaka then reaches Hina, who is peacefully lying on a grass field somewhere in the skies. He tells her to grab his hand, and they eventually grab each other and start to fall further together. They keep on falling when Hodaka points out that he does not care about the rain. He says that he only wants to be with Hina, even if the whole world drowns in the rain. Eventually, they fall to the top of the building. Tokyo had been entirely submerged 3 years later. A voice recalls once again how the rain began anew the day Hina returned and never stopped. It's been dropping for 3 years, and everything is now submerged. Hodaka is shown returning to Home Island, where he is graduating high school. He informs his buddies that he is returning to Tokyo. He is no longer wanted by the police. He watches the present condition in the city as he goes, and it does not look good. He begins seeking for work. While surfing, he comes across an old Hina advertising and notices one weathering request. He talks to a lady who desired weathering, and she informs him that everything is now just how it should be. Hodaka mulls it over and decides to pay a visit to Hina. He finds her near her house and runs towards her, declaring that this is precisely what he desired. He wanted her, he got her, and he doesn't care about the rain. He informs her that they transformed the world forever by working together. That is all about this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, check out the next recap.